Waters are fast-moving.
Unlike other big rallies,
Cockpit earlier at about 7 a.m. A group from the Coast Guard.
Welcome to #PHVote 2013.
Today on Rappler, residents in an isolated town in Bohol struggle to survive as they wait for aid. Senators want to use their frozen pork barrel to help disaster victims. And Pope Francis tells Filipinos, don't get tired of mercy.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. 3 days after a magnitude 7.2 quake struck central Visayas, Barangay Napo of Loon in Bohol is a ghost town. Residents live in makeshift tents at the town plaza beside mounds of rock, metal, and roofing. This used to be Loon's pride, the Church of Our Lady of Light, now reduced to rubble. Locals tell Rappler at least 4 people are buried in the church rubble. On Wednesday night, they kept hearing the voice of a young boy from the ruins, but no one was able to help. Those who lived in Loon for decades say the destruction from the quake is the worst they've seen in their lifetimes. The slightest tremor now makes the locals nervous. Residents say aftershocks caused more damage after the quake. Road access to the worst-hit towns in Bohol make relief efforts difficult. It's impossible to use Mualong Bridge, which connects Loon to nearby Calape town. Only boats and helicopters are able to reach isolated areas. Help finally reached the isolated village Thursday, with relief workers bringing sacks of rice, food packets, and medical kits. On Friday, the government says the death toll rises to 172. Bohol suffers the most casualties with 160 people killed. 22 others are still missing. The governor of Bohol is confident the province can bounce back from the earthquake and still remain a tourist destination. Bea Kupin files this video blog.
Destruction and devastation, that's what most people think now when you say the word Bohol. But the province will not be defeated. 10 of Bohol's historic churches, gems not only of the province but also of the country, are either partially damaged or in ruins as a result of a magnitude 7.2 earthquake that hit central Visayas. We spoke to Bohol Governor Edgar Chato earlier, and he says this is not the end of Bohol's heritage sites.
We are much excited to turn around this temporary setback into an asset for Bohol, because our destruction of churches, it can be rebuilt. Assuming that it will still take some time to rebuild it, many tourists would like to see ruins and would like to see how it looks now compared to how it looked before. And that will be part of the story, and that will be part of history.
Still, several towns in Bohol are in dire need of help. Several LGUs such as Antiquera and Maribojoc are still out of power as of 3:16 p.m. As a result, the water supply is still a problem. This is Bea Kupin, Rappler, Tagbilaran City.
The Mines and Geosciences Bureau, or MGB, will send 3 geologists to Bohol next week to map the sinkholes residents reported after the earthquake that hit the province. MGB Director Leo Hasareno says the findings will be released to local government units, which can be used to warn residents. In the town of Loon in Bohol, 6 sinkholes are reported in barangays Basak and Basdaku. Sunstar Cebu also reports a sinkhole in Cebu is getting wider. Senator Ralph Recto wants to use the Senator's Priority Development Assistance Fund, or PDAF, to help the victims of this killer earthquake. Senators are allotted 200 million pesos annually, but the Supreme Court stopped the release of the remaining PDAF in the 2013 budget. On Friday, Recto says the Senate can issue a resolution authorizing the executive branch to use Senators' withheld PDAF for rehabilitation efforts and help victims of the earthquake, Typhoon Santi, and the Zamboanga crisis. He adds, it's perhaps time to thaw the frozen pork and use it to help victims. The quake that hit Tuesday destroyed roads, bridges, homes, and centuries-old churches. Recto proposes, in his words, resurrecting the PDAF into a disaster fund where senators have no say on how it's spent. Senator Grace Poe also files a resolution to use the 2014 PDAF for 10 billion pesos special fund for quake victims. The biggest event in the Philippine Catholic Church this year ends on a historic note with a message from Pope Francis. Paterno Esmaquel reports.
For the first time, Pope Francis sends a video message to Asia's most predominantly Catholic country. Francis appeals for mercy for the poor and neglected.
Don't get tired of bringing the next of the Father to the poor, the sick, the abandoned, the dream-conquered and family.
He also tells Filipinos to bring their faith to various fields.
Let Jesus speak now in the world of politics, business, arts, science, technology, and social media for high and Philippines.
Up to 5,000 people hear the Pope's message at the Philippine Conference on New Evangelization, a 3-day event to revive the Catholic faith. Tagle apologizes for the sins of the Church against non-Catholics, women, and the poor. He also asks adults not to judge the youth as evil and rebellious.
Tatapusin ko po sa pakiusap ng mga kabataan. On the first day, Michael, the one who became the spokesperson of the young people, said, "Listen to us, understand us, trust in us, take care of us. Many of us come from broken homes. We need fathers among the priests. We need mothers, brothers and sisters among the other parishioners."
Tagle says God sends the crowd on a mission. He says believers should preach not with a judging eye, but a listening ear. Two leaders, one message. The Philippine Conference on New Evangelization ends on a note of mercy, a key to reviving faith in a world of prejudice. Katerina Francisco, Rappler, Manila.
The deadline for Filipino workers in Saudi to legalize their status is in 2 weeks, but Philippines has yet to repatriate 5,000 Filipinos from Saudi Arabia. The Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs says 4,003 Filipino workers returned home from Saudi Arabia. DFA spokesman Raul Hernandez says 1,761 Filipinos are waiting for immigration clearance. Saudi Arabia extended the deadline to November 3 from the original July 3. Violators face up to 2 years in prison and fines of at least 100,000 rial or $27,000 US. China's economy expands 7.8% in the third quarter of 2013, putting the world's second-largest economy on track to meet its own growth target of 7.5% for 2013. China's National Bureau of Statistics says the economy grows 7.7% in the first 9 months of the year. Economists say the jump is a result of government stimulus since late June. This comes after economic growth slowed for 2 straight quarters, 7.7% in the first quarter and 7.5% in the second. Trumpet's big musical comeback brings families and friends together for the Bluebird of Happiness. G. Tonji reports.
It's a family affair! I'm here at the Meralco Theater with my children to watch Bluebird of Happiness, an all-original Filipino musical brought to us by Trumpets.
Based on the play by Maurice Maeterlinck, with book and lyrics by Jaime Del Mundo and music by Ronnie Fortich. The Bluebird of Happiness combines entertainment with enriching values. Del Mundo hopes original musicals like Bluebird grow in popularity.
It is very important for Filipino audiences to come to the theater, whether it be Bluebird of Happiness or any other show that's showing. It just happens, I think, that Bluebird of Happiness caters to a specific audience that we had in mind, the family entertainment, the people who come for family entertainment, families and kids, and so that's its role, isn't it? Not only to share something that Trumpets feels very strongly about, but to introduce a new generation to come to the theater and help support Philippine theater as a whole.
Mio Infante creates the eye-catching magical backdrop for the musical. He shares how he created one of the costumes for the tree characters.
Yeah, so tell us, how did you make this piece of headgear?
It's actually, it's actually piano wire inside, and a lot of it, so we make piano wire as the main base, so it's not too heavy, because the actors would complain about, you know, how heavy the things are. And then I remember originally this was made out of sackcloth, but it became too heavy when the actors tried it on, so we had to do different ways of doing fabric and stuff like that, and then putting retazo. We even call this thing retazo the musical, because it's all, you know, from different costumes as well. So
all recycled costumes to make a new costume.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Yes, so that's what we call upcycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
Infante uses innovative ways to create characters that come to life on stage, much to the delight of children and their family and friends.
And that is the music that he shall compose.
Don't miss the theatrical extravaganza that touches the heart and delights the senses. Catch the Bluebird of Happiness before they close this weekend. Chitanji, Rappler, Manila.
Well, let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 2, U.S. President Barack Obama says the fiscal shutdown leaves no winners in Washington. The last-minute deal hammered out by Congress ends the 16-day government shutdown and raises the debt ceiling. But Obama calls on Republicans and Democrats to come together to pass a long-term budget. He adds, probably nothing has done more damage to America's credibility in the world, our standing with other countries, than the spectacle that we've seen these past several weeks. At number 6, the World Health Organization says outdoor air pollution causes cancer. The International Agency for Research on Cancer, or IARC, classifies outdoor air pollution as, quote, a Group 1 cause of cancer, the riskiest category on its 4-step scale. The IARC says pollution exposure levels increased significantly in parts of the world in recent years, especially in rapidly industrializing nations. 2010 data shows 223,000 lung cancer deaths worldwide are because of air pollution. And at number 9, bushfires ravage communities and destroy at least 100 homes in southeastern Australia, leaving at least 1 man dead. Firefighters warn of substantial property damage as 7 major blazes burn across the state of New South Wales. Cooler temperatures and a drop in wind offer firefighters some relief, but the fire department says the situation is still, quote, very active, very dynamic, very dangerous. Wildfires are common in Australia's summer months between December and February. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and our viewers the most emotionally. If you take a look, these 10 stories have gotten the most number of votes on their mood meter. What we've seen is really a seesaw this week between sad and sad triggered by stories like this, the quake toll increasing. Strangely, 47% sad, but some people happy. That's strange to see. And we have this from the beginning of the week. LGU suspend classes for the INC, the medical mission. You have 60% angry, 24% annoyed. That still is the story that's gotten the most number of votes. Today, that read, most people are angry. Well, that is Rappler's Newscast for today, Friday, October 18th, 2013. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.